If you want to be a data analyst, you need to know how to use pivot tables in Excel. So let me show you pretty much everything you need to know about pivot tables for data analysis. So a pivot table is kind of like an interactive table or report in Excel. It lets you summarize your data without needing to write any formulas. And they're super easy to use. All you need to do is highlight the data that you want to summarize, click Insert, and Pivot Table. I've already selected the data that I want in my pivot table, so I'm good on this section. And in the next section, I'm going to select that I want my pivot table in a new worksheet and go ahead and click OK. So now we get to build out our pivot table. Remember that a field is the same thing as a column. So for example, the fields in my raw data are order ID, date, region, etc. So when I come back over to my pivot table tab, I can choose which fields go into my pivot table. So if I wanted to see my total sales by category, I would click and drag the sales field over to my value section. And this is the sum of all of my sales from my raw data. So now I need to group by category. So now I'm going to click and drag the category field over to the rows section. And now I have the total sales by each category. I can further filter this data by dragging a field into the filters section. So if I wanted to only look at data in a particular region, I would drag the region field over to my filters section, and now I can filter by region. What if instead of the total sales, I wanted to see the average sales? So I wanted to change how the data is aggregated. I would just come over to my values section, and if you're using a Windows machine, this is going to look a little bit different, but very similar. And I'm going to click this little information circle to the right of the field that I want to change the aggregation for. Now I can select how I want my data aggregated or summarized. So I'll go ahead and click average and click OK. And now my pivot table displays the average sales by region. This is just the basics of all that you can do with pivot tables, but as a data analyst, you'll probably be using Excel sparingly compared to other tools. So in just a few minutes, you've learned pretty much everything you will need to know about pivot tables for data analysis.